Today, Bitcoin hits yet another new all-time high as the post-election rally continues and the Fed cuts rates once more. FTX executive Gary Wang asks for no jail time ahead of his sentencing this month. And Coinbase's Paul Grewal reacts to the strong performance from crypto candidates in the election and shares what's on the legislative agenda in 2025. Bitcoin tapped a new record high, trading above $76,000. Ether jumped 8% to under $2,900, and Solana rose 5% to $196. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. The SEC is pushing back on some of Kraken's defenses in its legal battle against the firm. Earlier this week, the regulator asked the court to dismiss 3 defenses made by Kraken, saying that they, quote, fail as a matter of law. Now, Kraken has argued that the agency's term of an investment contract lacks clarity and that the case falls under major questions doctrine. That principle says issues of major political or legal influence should be decided by Congress rather than a regulatory agency. This is an argument that Kraken also made in its motion to dismiss, which the court denied back in August. In that order, the judge said that federal courts have already weighed in on similar claims brought by the SEC and found that these lawsuits against the crypto industry do not violate the major questions doctrine. The SEC sued Kraken last November, alleging that it engaged in the selling of unregistered securities. Yesterday, Kraken's attorney, Michael O'Connor, took to X to claim that the SEC failed on a similar motion in its legal battle with Ripple, and he expects the same outcome here. O'Connor also scrutinized the timing of the motion, saying, quote, Gary knows his days are numbered, given President-elect Trump's victory, who said in his campaign that he would fire the SEC chair. Next, crypto-powered prediction markets platform Polymarket CEO Sane Kaplan joined CNBC to discuss the role that prediction markets played in the 2024 election. Now, following VP Kamala Harris's entrance into the race, bets on Polymarket showed a mostly tight race for who would win the presidential election until early October, when Trump's odds shot up. Now, Kaplan discussed some of the criticisms that Polymarket faced leading up to the election results, including those relating to market manipulation on these platforms.
If someone takes a really big position on Trump, for example, there's someone on the other side, there's a counterparty. It's all peer-to-peer. So there's also a really big position being taken on Harris. And because of that, and when you see the odds on Polymarket, it's not a function of how much money was put on either side. It's a function of market price at that moment. And usually there's a 0.1 cent spread. It's the tightest spread for this market in the world. And I think that when you think about it like that, like some trade that someone made 2 weeks ago doesn't have bearing on what the market price is right now.
Now, to be clear, Polymarket betting is not currently available to U.S. customers, as betting markets have been scrutinized by the CFTC. Though in October, a court ruled in the CFTC's case against prediction market Kalshi that Americans could bet on elections. Kaplan told CNBC that Polymarket has plans to enter the U.S. market. Meanwhile, Reuters reporting this morning that France's gambling regulator is investigating whether Polymarket complies with French laws. Last, former FTX executive Gary Wang is asking for no jail time ahead of his November 20th sentencing. In a memo submitted yesterday, lawyers for Wang say that he presents no risk of recidivism and points to his cooperation with the legal system. The former chief technology officer is the final former executive to be sentenced for charges relating to the 2022 collapse of FTX. Now, this comes a week after FTX's former engineering head Nishad Singh dodged prison time altogether at his sentencing. Caroline Ellison, who ran FTX's sister hedge fund and was the star witness at Sam Bankman-Fried's trial, was sentenced to 2 years in September. She reported to prison just today. Meanwhile, former exec Ryan Salem was given 7.5 years. And of course, there's SBF, who's serving a 25-year sentence. All right, let's pivot back to the impact of the election for our main story. Now, we told you yesterday that crypto's big night on election evening included more than just Trump's return to the White House. Pro-crypto candidates across the country won in both House and Senate races after being backed by crypto-friendly interest groups. The CEO of Coinbase, a company that started its very own pro-crypto group called Stand with Crypto, posted on X just today that 257 pro-crypto lawmakers will be heading to Capitol Hill in January. And he said that he believes that being anti-crypto is a good way to end your career. Now, I spoke with Paul Grewal, the chief legal officer at Coinbase, about Tuesday night's results and how the company is looking ahead to 2025. So, Paul, let's start with Congress, which had a bunch of big wins for pro-crypto candidates, including Bernie Moreno in Ohio. Now, Coinbase spent millions on these races, and you're no doubt happy with the results, but talk to me about what's next now that you have these newly elected lawmakers heading to Capitol Hill. Are you talking to them about priorities come January, or what sort of timeline are you thinking for new policy?
Well, Tuesday night was certainly a big night for crypto and the crypto voter. It's very clear that in race after race, pro-crypto politics reflected pro-crypto policy. And in race after race, we saw that the winner took the will of the voters to heart, made it very clear that they supported pro-crypto views and have enjoyed the benefits as a result. We're very excited with the makeup of the new Congress. We are going to have the most pro-crypto Congress ever. And Coinbase has played some part in all of that. We certainly lent our support to the Fair Shake Super PAC. And I think what we saw Fair Shake do was weigh in on a handful of races and make sure that the crypto voters' voice was heard. And I think there's no question that mission was accomplished on Tuesday night.
And I was talking to Fair Shake, and it sounds like the count is up to 330 lawmakers on Capitol Hill who all have a pro-crypto stance. So talk to me about what your plan is. Brian Armstrong already spends a lot of time in D.C., so do you. How are you going to work with this newly elected body of lawmakers to, have a Fit 21 or some version thereof passed into law?
Well, our plan going forward is very much the plan that we've had in place for the past year or more. It's to build a consensus within the Congress that sensible rules for crypto that include investor protections, but also sensible standards for market structure, for stablecoins and the like, remains a priority. And what I think is going to be most critical with the new Congress is to make sure that the Fit 21 bill moves forward in the Senate. We saw a great vote last May where 71 Democrats joined a gaggle of Republicans in passing that in the House, and that we make progress on the stablecoin bill that has made its way out of committee in the House, but still is waiting for a floor vote. There's a lot that needs to be done, and we're very eager to lend our perspective on this to both the Democrats and the Republicans who will be working on these issues. But there's no time to waste. It's very clear that the rest of the world is racing ahead as the U.S. struggles to get its act together. The good news, though, is that Tuesday, I think, it was a real shot in the arm to making sure that the U.S. has an opportunity to catch up.
So you mentioned the market infrastructure bill, Fit 21, also the stablecoin bill that's been winding its way through Congress. But there was also the repeal of SAB 121, which Joe Biden ultimately vetoed. But would that be a top priority come the new congressional session?
Well, the SAB 121 guidance from the SEC was terrible policy. And I think that the lawmakers from both sides of the aisle voting in support of legislation that repeal it reflected that this is not a partisan view or a political view. This is just good, straight up common sense. We were thrilled to see so many members in both the House and the Senate, even in the face of a threatened presidential veto, vote their conscience and vote for sound policy to repeal this guidance, which would essentially treat liabilities for crypto custodians that are public firms in a manner that was utterly inconsistent with sound accounting practices and so forth. So I do think that a repeal of SAB 121 is critically important. Here's the other thing, though, Mackenzie. The SEC doesn't have to wait for legislation to make that happen. It could repeal that misguided guidance today, if it had the will. And we think that the voters have expressed what they want through Tuesday's results. And so there's really no reason for the SEC to wait. If the SEC, unfortunately, continues to drag its heels on this, then Congress is going to have to act. And we do think that legislation to make this happen should also be among the priorities for the new Congress come January.
Now, you've also backed the top of the ticket, Donald Trump, who will be the 47th president of the United States. How do you plan on working with this next administration? Does Coinbase plan on advising Trump or agencies come next year?
Well, throughout the campaign, Coinbase was in close consultation with the Trump campaign, as we were with the Harris campaign, to make sure that each of these candidates understood why sensible rules for crypto made sense. And we were absolutely thrilled to see President Trump, now again President-elect Trump, not just embrace a pro-crypto view, but to really lend his full voice to issues that matter to the crypto economy. Things like the right to self-custody, the right to make sure that Bitcoin mining is protected here in the United States, and even an embrace of the idea of something like a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So we're very eager to partner with the new Trump administration on all of these issues to lend our perspective on behalf of the industry and our customers. And we're confident that for the first time in a long time, the executive branch, the administration, is going to give a fair consideration to the issues that are so important to this industry.
Now, obviously, you're hoping for change at the SEC, which seems likely. Trump has said as much. But where do things stand in the interim with a lot of Coinbase's cases with the commission? You have oral arguments in one related case tomorrow that's different than the SEC's lawsuit. Walk me through where things stand.
Yeah, well, our cases with the SEC remain pending. Of course, there's the enforcement case that was brought by the SEC in the Southern District of New York. Separate from that, Coinbase has brought its own case against the SEC to compel the commission to issue sensible rules in response to a petition that's now been pending for several years. I think that the results from Tuesday really speak to an urgent need for a reset across all of these cases, and in fact, cases that impact the entire industry. A new SEC will have a new SEC chair, and I think it's safe to say that with a new chair, you're going to see a number of fresh eyes brought to the docket. There's no reason to commit to bad enforcement strategy and a misguided enforcement campaign when rulemaking is available, when consultation can result in much more durable solutions. I do think that we're going to see change come January across all these different matters. And in the meantime, we remain as confident in effort that if court litigation is required, we will prevail in each of those cases.
What's the outlook for Coinbase in 2025? I'm sure you're feeling more optimistic about the U.S. after you guys threatened to leave the country altogether under the current regulatory administration. But is it full steam ahead, no plans changing, or are you looking at more aggressive expansion come next year?
Well, we've never been shy in raising the concerns that we have with the regulatory climate here in the United States, but we've equally been clear that we remain committed to the United States as the global leader in financial services and in technology, and the most important market of any country in the world. That said, we could not be more excited that with these election results, we're finally going to have the most pro-crypto Congress in history. We're going to have an administration that gets crypto, that will commit and remain committed to sensible investor protections, but that also recognizes that in order for the U.S. to maintain its strategic lead globally in financial services, on national security issues and the like, it needs to have a true, sensible crypto policy, and we think that's coming. And again, we will be one voice among many in that conversation, but we think we have a unique perspective to offer, considering that we are a publicly listed firm. We've been around for a decade or more, and we've been engaged in these issues for a long time. This will be nothing new for Coinbase.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.